Hey internet friends, if you're a homeowner or you want to become a homeowner one day, you're gonna wanna watch this video. At the heart and soul of the American dream is homeownership. More specifically, being able to work hard for fair pay, buy a home and start a family. Bricks and beams, hopes and dreams, the ability to come from nothing, to be no one, and eventually make a name for yourself, and leave behind a tangible legacy for your family. The family farm, the family business, whatever it might be. But what if the American dream is quickly fading before our eyes, leaving only a nightmare behind? Because trends taking place in California and Florida under the limp excuse of climate change and rapid inflation are leading the way to the brave new world, one in which our children will not be afforded the same opportunities we were in this once great country. In an unforeseen event such as a fire, your homeowner's insurance will typically cover the losses and damage to your property. And so your mortgage lender wants to ensure that your property is insured when you have a mortgage. Because of this, lenders typically demand evidence that you have homeowner's insurance. Well, the problem is insurance companies are leaving California on the excuse of climate change, with the recent years of wildfires compounded with rapid inflation. They're claiming that these factors are basically causing insurance companies to pay a lot more for a loss than they have in the past. As a result, these insurance agencies are raising their rates. For example, for a $1 million house in California, people were paying $1,800 in homeowners insurance per year. And now, rates are jumping from $1,800 per year to $10,000 to $15,000 per year. And if you have a mortgage, this is lumped into your monthly payment. So people who are paying $150 a month towards insurance on top of what they owe on their house plus interest are now paying upwards of $1,200 per month just in insurance fees, making basic homeownership unaffordable for the average person. According to the Federal Reserve Bank, the median home sales price in the United States is $436,000. And home buyers now need $117,000 in annual income to afford a median-priced home in the U.S. The problem is, inflation is happening so rapidly. Even though they lie about the numbers, they're gonna lie, okay? Don't believe the numbers, look into it yourself. But it's like the Weimar Republic, but with wages being so stagnant. At the end of May, State Farm made the announcement that it would stop issuing new homeowner coverage in California. Allstate stopped issuing new homeowner coverage last year. Farmers Insurance is now following suit, saying that, quote, record-breaking inflation, severe weather events, and reconstruction costs continuing to climb were behind its decision, end quote. Let me break it down for you even more so I can emphasize the weight, the severity of this news. If you can't afford your monthly insurance payment, you're not going to be able to obtain a mortgage. Moreover, if you can't afford to pay your insurance, it's unlikely you'll be able to afford to rebuild your house in the event of catastrophe. Big-name insurance companies are leaving California simply because they can't stay in business. So it's setting up this situation where we have a wealth gap that is widening at lightning speed, where only the wealthy can own a home, or a situation where only the Black Rocks of the world can buy a block and rent it out and afford the insurance. Meaning they're forcing citizens out of California, and those citizens will inevitably flow into other states, bringing their politics and inevitably voting for the same policies that have doomed California. What's interesting about this California insurance news specifically is that rural areas are seeing more of an increase in rates than cities, so people are moving into the cities or becoming renters to avoid the cost. And from where I'm sitting, it's giving new meaning and clarity to Agenda 2030, Agenda 21, and the push for these 15-minute cities. The government's reclaiming land and making them national parks, and the lines and boundaries of nations being erased, only to be replaced by super cities. And it used to be that you could buy your house and it was a solid investment, an asset. But now people can hardly afford groceries, so how are they supposed to buy a $400,000 starter home with a high interest rate, property tax hikes, a car payment, student loan, credit card debt, and now skyrocketing insurance rates? The answer is they can't. They simply can't. And so I ask, how is this not considered theft of property? Is this trend paving the way for nationalized housing? Unfortunately, this is a coast-to-coast phenomenon. Rapid increases in interest rates have contributed to a 50% reduction in homes for sale in June 2023 compared to 2019. But let's take a look at Florida, the third most populous state, where they've been grappling for some time with a property insurance crisis that is making homeownership unaffordable for many. And now, Florida residents pay an average of $6,000 annually for homeowners insurance. That's a 42% increase over the previous year. In contrast with the rest of the United States, the typical annual premium is $1,700 a year. 13 Florida insurance companies have declared bankruptcy in recent years, and others have just ceased writing insurance in Florida, like Farmers Insurance. All of it contributes to premium price increases and a worsening of the state's housing affordability crisis. In other words, under the excuse of climate change and rapid inflation, Florida might soon be only for the intensely wealthy. To summarize, we're experiencing Weimar-style conditions with hyperinflation. Because the parasite on our country, the Federal Reserve Bank, has printed so much money in recent years. And our leaders have been complicit in destroying our entire economy through their COVID lockdowns. Yet the government constantly lies about the inflation numbers, while insurance companies are refusing to insure homes or hiking up rates so high that an average person can't even afford to own a home. The American dream is slipping away from us, and all of this is being blamed on climate change, when it's an open secret that the government can control the weather and has been perfecting weather warfare since the Vietnam War. And if you think this phenomenon is limited to Florida or California, think again. Look at the destructive floods in Vermont last week they're blaming on climate change. It's just a matter of time before this reaches every state, as they've already promised it would. I keep referencing this 8 predictions for the world in 2030 released by the World Economic Forum, and the one that haunts me the most is the "you'll own nothing and be happy." That's exactly what is happening here, y'all, and the pace at which things are changing is unprecedented. This video isn't really about the bricks and the beams, the houses and the land as I referenced in the beginning. It's about the rapid theft of hopes, dreams, opportunities, and freedoms. And it's all playing out before us, and it seems like no one is really doing anything about it because everyone is just sitting around waiting for these stupid politicians to act in our favor. And for that, they laugh at us.
Every city in the United States has become much worse over the past 3 years. Yeah. Drive around. There's not one city that's gotten better in the United States. And it's visible. Our economy has degraded. The suicide rate has jumped. Public filth and disorder and crime have exponentially increased. And yet, your concern is that the Ukrainians, a country most people can't find on a map, who've received tens of billions of U.S. tax dollars, don't have enough tanks. I think it's a fair question to ask, where's the concern for the United States in that?
Well, it's not my concern. Tucker, I've heard that routine from you before, but that's not my concern.
Anyway, what do you think, internet friends? I always look forward to your comments. Thank you so much for watching, subscribing, supporting my channel on Patreon, and purchasing my book, The Deep State Encyclopedia. Bye.